Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to House Talk, home of all things house music. Today's episode is brought to you by the CoLab Studios here in Clearwater, Florida. And we have a very cool guest on tonight. Please welcome CJ to our show. What's up, man?
How you doing? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I'm so excited you came on.
Yeah, I'm happy. When I got the message from you, I was like, yeah, let's do this. It sounds like a fun time. So
Yeah, so you were a nice surprise because we weren't connected at all. And I was randomly scrolling on my phone and your short or some story came up of your set you did, and it just I can't wait to talk about that because it totally blew my mind. But first, let's kind of dive into your music and
the good old Instagram targeted promotion.
Do you find those work?
Yes, big time. If you're an artist and you're not taking full advantage of it, then you could be missing out on a chance to be on a podcast or,
I guess I should start paying for ads, Tyler. I guess we should start paying for ads. So how did you come up with your name and how'd you get started?
So I went through, I'd say it's about 3-4 years. You lose track of time, but I went through probably a pretty weird part. So I'm 25 and I was, I think 21 or so. And I was in a weird spot. I just broken up with a girl, kind of like getting over it. You know how it is.
Yeah.
I had just finished playing hockey, which I had done for most of my life. Every kid thinks they're going to go pro. I thought I was going to go pro. And then when I kind of got to that end, I came to the realization that, I am starting from square one. I don't really know what to do. And I have a friend who runs the audio and lighting for Sunset events in Tampa. So Sunset Music Festival. And
R.I.P. Sunset Music Festival.
Yeah, I'm going to miss that one. And he said, hey, why don't you come one weekend to front of the house? You can watch all the acts, everything. And I said, yeah, sure. And he said, you can help me one day bring out the stage, because obviously the last night the headliner brings out this little mini stage, and it was Dog Blood, and which is Skrillex and so sorry I don't know the other guy, cannot think of it, but I said yeah, sure. So at the very end of the set, at the second to last set, I go out, I help bring the stage out, we're locking in the wheels. I'm on the corner, so if I back up, I'm going to fall into the crowd. And you have to remember, I hadn't been feeling really anything. I'd been in kind of a mental spot for a while, and mental health issues are totally fine. Everyone has them. But I turned around and I just saw this crowd of just tons of people and got this really weird feling. And
the feeling you can't explain.
The feeling I can't explain, and the feeling I've never had before. And when you're in a situation like that, I kind of went, wow, I've never felt that before, and that's a really great feeling. And it sounds narcissistic, but I also saw tons of people just having fun, enjoying their life. You see people just partying in their own world, experiencing stuff with their friends on different levels. And I just kind of thought it would be really cool to see people emotional over something you're doing.
Yeah.
So since then I said, you know what? I want to do music. I love this. And then kind of just got to it. And now we're here. So,
you've done some really, I don't know if theatrical is the right word, but picturesque, and your settings, your set at the ice rink.
Yes.
And I saw the guy holding the camera who is actually on skates.
That's Steven Smith. He definitely deserves a shout out. He is fantastic. So he works for Bally Sports, and he did stuff with ESPN for a bit. So he does that during NHL games. So he will go on the ice during intermissions or during the whistles in between the players are changing, and he'll be on the ice on skates following the players around during their intros, everything. The Stanley Cup, when the players were lifting the cup in Florida, you can see him on TV just following the guys around.
Wow.
Yeah, nerve-wracking, but.
So what made you want to do your set at the ice arena?
So I contacted the people at 1001 Tracklist.
Okay.
And I reached out, and for anyone who doesn't know who that is, it's pretty much if someone wants to check out your set from the Mirage or wherever, they can find it. They're really good. Jacob is one of the people I dealt with, Fahim, really good group there. I reached out, I said, hey, I have this idea for this thing. I want to call it JNSN Selects, and I want to just go around the world and do stuff. And I'd love to showcase my first one with you guys, kind of get my foot in the door. I said, I work for the Lightning. I think I could possibly get an in to play at Amalie Arena at center ice, 20,000 person arena, empty completely, and no one else in the world has done this. And I think I don't have any followers. I don't have any traction. I think you guys could help me. And they said, yeah, sure. We worked a couple of things out and pulled some strings and got all the appropriate yeses from everybody, and we did it. And it was really cool to think of. I got some good traction. It didn't do as well as I wanted, but I feel like when you go into that as a first time, you expect it to be massive, which you can't have that expectation. But it did do really well. It got a lot of traction.
Yeah.
People saw it, and it's also another thing to the repertoire, right? You can just add it to
It kind of got your foot in the door.
Of course, yeah. And then I kind of got talking with the people who filmed and helped, and I said, I think I want to make this a thing.
Yeah.
So then JNSN Selects came to fruition, and we did that one, and then we obviously just did Tampa Theater. And
your Tampa Theater one, like I said, that you randomly came up on my Instagram.
Yeah.
I guess kudos to those paid ads.
Cannot express how important those are. It's so you pick your city.
You can pick city?
Yeah, so I have a method for it. It's like my own little personal. I do two paid ads. I'll do one when it runs out. I'll do another one for a different city. But I'll just kind of you have to get technical. It's a very oversaturated market. You have to really get technical with it. It's not. It's very musical, but sometimes it's not all about the music. You have to really.
Yeah, I don't know how like any of this stuff works, and that's why I'm so grateful for Tyler.
Yeah.
He's, for anybody who's looking, Tyler does a lot of like content creation and helps with the social branding, and he's been such a blessing to work with. Because that stuff, like, I don't have time for that. I mean, like, well, and it's it's a lot.
Oh, there's still so much that I have zero clue about.
But your set at the amphitheater, like, can I ask, how'd you book that? Like, did you know somebody or?
Just sent an email out hoping it was a shot in the dark. I said, hey, this is what we have. And I said, I'd like to do something better. I have a feeling that this almost 100-year-old theater would be better. They said yes. And I said, cool, let's talk. So I went there, met with them. We kind of discussed pricing and everything and got the team together. And we also had, I did connect with a really good FPV drone pilot named Parker Shepard, who cannot recommend him enough.
Yeah, those shots were really cool.
He is hands down, I have done my research, he might be the best in the world at it. And I know that sounds like an insane comment, but the stuff this guy was doing and the stuff that we have coming up that I can't talk about, the next JNSN Select set in year and a half that we're already trying to finalize stuff on in an area where I don't know what the term is, the regulations for flying, FAA. Yeah. So we're going to be in a place where FAA regulations will not exist, and he can just go nuts. And so I definitely think it's going to really tie it together.
Did you find it hard? So I used to do stand-up comedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I love stand-up comedy. Yeah, that's great.
I used to do stand-up at Side Splitters, like their open mic nights. And I always found it was really challenging to do your set with nobody there.
Yeah.
How was it doing, I don't know if live set is the right word, but showcasing this with nobody in there? Did you find that challenging because you couldn't feed off of the room?
So it's definitely tough. Obviously, it's no surprise the live sets, at least on my end, are completely planned.
Yeah.
Everything I do in my live set, every single song in there, whether it sounds like it or not, has been edited. I am 100% mixing every song. There's a lot of mixing going on, but because it's so meticulous and there's obviously a lot of money being spent, there's a lot of people getting paid while it's being filmed, you want everything to be really good. We did have to stop the set once. Luckily, you can't tell. So for things like that, it's really important to make sure that we're kind of on it. So in terms of reading the crowd, it kind of worked because even if there was a crowd and they were loving it, I wasn't changing what I was doing because I had a plan. We had camera shots at this time. We knew at this time there was going to be a drone swarming in. we were trying to think promotional too. The first song, as well as a couple other songs in there, were unreleased at the time or were my tunes.
Yeah.
So we wanted to showcase them. So I had you couldn't really tell, but I had a mic hidden under my jacket. So I would say, hey, this next one's me. Let's get ready. And then the drone would kind of spin around. It gets really behind the scenes and technical.
Like I said, like you had such a cinematic,
Yeah.
like it was so well done.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Like I enjoyed it, and it kind of reminded me of. Are you a Lay Youth fan?
Say again?
Lay Youth.
Oh yeah, big time.
You know the set he does. It's the one in California where he's on like the hilltop.
I believe.
And he's wearing like a yellow button up.
Mm-hmm.
Ross Lake.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
It kind of almost reminded me of that with like the drones going in and out, and it really set the vibe for your tracks you had. It really set that like dark melodic.
Yeah.
So good. Like I don't know if you and a whole team came up with that creativeness, but nicely done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pretty much to answer that, it was so funny. What I was originally planning on making music-wise, because I was still figuring things out when I did the Amalie set.
Yeah.
The team and I, we had so much that we wanted to do differently. We look back at the Amalie set and we go, man, I wish we could have a redo at that. But it's all right. It was the first time, and I did enjoy it. And it was a really good learning experience. But there was a lot of things I think that we thought maybe we could have done differently. When I originally did that, I wanted to make, I think, like tech house.
Okay.
And I hadn't musically matured enough to realize what I wanted to do.
Oh, those are some powerful words.
Yeah.
Musically, okay, I like that.
So I was like, I want this to be the darker side of JNSN. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, about a year later, I started making the darker stuff. And I thought, maybe this just should become a whole identity. So I stuck with it. And then I was like, let's do another episode of JNSN Selects. I think we have the next 3 figured out of where we want to go. But obviously it comes down to budget and stuff like that. But
you're taking such a different approach than what we're seeing in the scene. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's really like you're paving your own way and you know what works for you. And I also like how you say it's, you and a team of people, and it really takes a village for these things to come together. And I think, you're not going to learn unless you make mistakes.
100%.
Like Tyler and I, like we shot our first episode here, and we both learned a lot from the episode we did a couple weeks ago to now. And I think even with just music, with my vocal stuff, the first track I did, it was like night and day to our first track, and now we have a second track coming out, and oh man, I wish I did this on the first one.
You hear little things, and I'll revisit tracks that I did when I first started, and I'm like, wow, and then you take another stab at it, and you kind of get creative, and then you go, this one's trashed for sure, but it was fun to revisit it. So
do you ever listen to something a million times over, and then you're like, I hate it. I used to love it, and now I hate it.
I used to love it, and I hate it. I do that with songs that other people make, and then I'll come back and love them again.
Yeah.
But with mine, I am my biggest critic, I think. I just made one that probably won't see the light of day, and I've had a couple close friends who get to hear everything, and they go, I love this. And I have the music friends who go, I love this, but here's where I would improve, because you have to ask both.
Yeah.
And then I listen to it, and I go, I don't think so. I don't think it's good, but I don't think this will maybe revisit it in a while and kind of see where we can go. But it's time. Music is patience.
Yeah. I'm learning that the hard way. It's patience. I struggle with patience and everything in my life.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's really cool, and it's just interesting because we are our own worst critics.
Oh, 1,000%.
I know when I record something, I hate listening to it first. Like I want somebody else to listen to it first because I know it's like I'm not going to like it. Mm-hmm. And then to see the start to finish product, I mean, sometimes you don't see the finished project for months or maybe even years.
Yeah.
And it takes a whole team. I mean, I don't know if you do your own mixing and mastering, and I don't understand that aspect.
I have a whole company I send it to.
Yeah.
I cannot do it myself.
So that's what we learned is I thought, we did the vocals, like Yari did his thing. And then he's like, no, we got to send this out to get mixed and mastered. And then you have to find somebody that suits your needs and can make, like, really enhance.
Yeah.
And that's also time and money spent too.
1000%.
Like, and it's not cheap to, like, make stuff.
Oh yeah, not. I think if you really want to do this seriously, you have to be very, very willing to spend some change.
I'll say lose money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in another sense, I think the biggest question with the Amalie set and the Tampa theater set people ask is, like, are you making money off of this? No, it's not. I don't do it for that. I think, and if what camera?
There's a lot of cameras.
Any camera. If you're a DJ and you're doing this for money, you need to stop, because it's not about that. It will never be about that. I think with anything in life, if you're trying to do it to make cash or quick cash, music is such an art and it's a passion.
Yeah.
You have people that will love it and hate it. And that's the joy of art, is it's all opinion based, and you can't put a fiscal number on that. You just have to do it for you. If you like it and you're passionate about it, everybody else will be. If people see you enjoying it, if you're doing stuff, all my sets, all my little turning a knob just a little bit extra to the left in my bedroom, going, okay, this will work in a show, and somebody will hopefully notice it, or they'll just have an even better time. They may not notice it, but it'll just help them a little bit. Yeah. They don't realize it will, but it just kind of ties the night together.
I think it's good that you also, you have a regular job.
Yeah.
And I think in more times than not, and I know I've seen this, with my horses, is you have people that get into the business and I don't want to say, people get into it for the wrong reasons, but it's not a fast way to make income. And some people get lucky. Some people get lucky and they make it big on their first try, but you also have to eat too.
Exactly.
You have to, we shouldn't be living in our cars. And I saw this a lot with comedy, is we had kids, this was during COVID, kids that were living in their cars, and Florida was oversaturated with comics because everybody was coming down here. Yeah. And they had a lot of the agents and talent seekers from New York and LA here, and everybody was pinning to get spots. But these kids were giving up. I don't want to say kids, because there were adults doing this too, in their 30s and 40s, that were just comedy all day, all night. Yeah. Couldn't eat.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have to sometimes look at the practical side of things.
Yeah.
To pretty much go off what you said, if you are struggling so bad to where you need to live in your car, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
You can still appreciate something and work hard at your craft, but what people have to understand is, especially with music, if you want to be taken seriously, you have to come prepared with a really good product. You have to have a good song. You have to have, it also depends on the label too, or the promoter, things like that. Any city you go to, you will have, you'll see people, you'll go, how did they get in there? And then you'll see people who, they have this really great song, but no one knows about them. Mm-hmm. You have to look at the insights. You have to look at, are they running promotions? Are they reaching out to people? You can't just put something up and expect it to blow up. Yes, it does happen, but you look at the one person to everybody else, it's just tough. So you really have to make sure you're not putting yourself in a financial hole, but you have to understand that you might have to spend a little extra cash, save up some money, but you also have to make sure you're spending that money with the right people. Don't meet the first person you see. And prime example, won't name names, person doesn't even live in this country, but I did a song with a vocalist when I was first starting, didn't know any better. He was very expensive and got screwed. And the vocals were really bad, couldn't do anything. And
how much were the vocals?
The vocals for this person were, I think I spent $1,400 on them. Yeah. Luckily, I reached out to the company in which I did it on. I said, hey, have an issue. This person sent me an awful product. I don't know what to do. Left the guy a bad review on the website. It was a website where vocalists can. And then I got a response pretty much saying, hey, I saw you put this bad review, didn't realize. And I kind of said, hey, I think it's crazy that now that I'm putting a bad comment, now that's affecting you, now you're coming to, so I said, hey, I need some sort of refund here because this is ridiculous.
Did you get anything back?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I got it back. And then on top of it, I do have, have a business too if you're a DJ. So you can write off some of your stuff. I was able to write it off in my taxes for the vocalist, so it kind of worked out.
Yeah.
But so I luckily got all that back. But be careful. There's a lot of fish in the sea, but there's also a lot of trash in the sea. And if someone will take advantage, you're just a kid who's bright-eyed and excited to the chance someone's just giving them some attention. You got to be careful because
And I think we're seeing that a lot in the whole like content creator world is, oh, I can help you with this, or we see people like run their flyers that, oh, I can make you this, I can make you that, but is this person really, do they have your best interest?
I think it comes down to as well, and I'm bad about this and I'm getting better at it, but
is your picker off?
That, and
My picker is off.
I will make impulsive decisions on things. Like if I want to buy something, if I'm at Guitar Center and there's a synthesizer, I bought a Moog Subsequent 37 a couple of weeks ago out of impulse. Dumbest idea I ever had. I think it was like $1,900.
Oh my gosh.
It was not a smart move on my part, but I love it. Should not have bought it. It was not the right time to buy it, but it's things like that. So if you come to me with this crazy wild proposition, and you just got to do your research on the person. If the person has no following, if they're, if they seem a little sketchy, if they're bothering you, you just got to be careful. You just have to look out for yourself. So
yeah, because only like you have your back.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about kind of what we talked about before you came in, or do you have to keep that under wraps? It's okay if we have to keep it under wraps.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I think maybe talking about the first half of it might be fine.
Okay.
They got tagged in the Instagram carousel, so I don't think it'd be an issue to discuss. Everything is signed and finalized, at least for the first one.
Yeah.
And the other first one for a different label that I didn't mention, but we can if you'd like to.
I'd like to because I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. So tell us your new exciting like.
Yeah, so the first track, shout out to Jodie Knight. Her alias is All Night. If you've heard of her before.
Yes.
Yeah, she's done stuff with Marsh.
Yes.
Yeah. So her and I, the very first song is called Somebody.
You got her on your track?
Yeah, she's fantastic. I highly suggest if you're doing a track, reach out to her. So I reached out. We were connected actually through somebody else that I know, and we got to talking. I said, hey, I have this track. It actually was a different track. No label would take it.
Okay.
And I was so angry because it was probably my favorite track. It still is. She's got an incredible voice.
Yeah.
And I reached out to her. I said, hey, look, I've actually done this like 4 times with other vocalists. I said, hey, I really love this track. I want to take another stab at it. I think we could do something better. She said, hey, for sure, let's do it. She, I think of all people, understands it's a waiting game. Redid it, sent it to her. She said, I love it. I said, cool, I'm going to put this as the first song. And this Tampa Theater set, none of the stuff on there that was unreleased was signed. So I waited to release it. I was waiting until the hockey season ended. So because my team of people, they all work for the Lightning.
Right.
And I said, hey, I would love if you guys could kind of, we could release this. My one editor, Anthony, who's fantastic, he was editing and he had to finish the season. There's playoffs. He's doing a million things. So we finally waited. I'm glad we waited because one label, Fidelis label, Impressum in Italy, they reached out and I just emailed them on a whim. I had the track. I hadn't really sent it to anybody. I sent it to a couple friends. I said, hey, like, you guys are like one of my favorite groups. I love your label. Would love to send this to you. They had a couple corrections. I made a few corrections. They played it. I think they played it in Beirut. They played it in a couple of clubs. They had to test it first.
Okay.
And they club tested. They said, hey, does well. Doesn't quite have what we want. Could you maybe tweak a few things? I said, sure. Tweaked a few things and we're good. And that, don't know when that comes out, but it should be out at some point. But everything's finalized with that. And then 2 days later, Purified did reach out for the one track. So that one track I did with Lauren Lament.
Okay.
If I super apologize, Lauren, if I'm correct in not pronouncing that last name correctly. But she's fantastic. The only problem, she is such a busy girl.
Yeah.
And her release schedule, she could not make it work. So it's an unfeatured, but I am still going to give her credit because they weren't just sample vocals. She did all the work on that. So then that one, because I'm a new artist, both those are coming out on various artist ones. And I have obviously, Sid. Sid helped me through all this. He's also signed a track with Lauren on Purified.
How's he doing?
He's doing fantastic. He actually, I have not met a human more helpful, I'd say, in the music scene with music and kind of tweaking things and being brutally honest yet super nice than him. I think if he continues on the path that he's going, you're going to see him. I mean, you already are.
Yeah, I saw him.
Yeah, you're already seeing him on
Shepherd.
Yeah, so
he opened for them.
Yeah, if he's opening for, those people, I'd look out because he's gonna take off here real soon. So he's fantastic. But
these are some very, very notable accomplishments.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And there's a ton of other stuff that I can't talk about, but I want to.
I know, I'm super excited. We talked about. Yeah. We had this whole discussion off camera, and I'm really excited to see what what he is going to be doing. I think you're a breath of fresh air, and we're going to see some really cool stuff.
I appreciate it.
And I think you're going to get some really great travel opportunities too.
That would be excited.
You're gonna get super cool travel opportunities.
We do have some stuff coming up in I think 6 to 8 months in Europe. Waiting to hear back about it, but I've been asked to go and do it, and I'm not going to say no. It's a chance to travel and see the world. So
yeah, good.
Play music.
Good for you. And you're so young. I mean, you're like, you say you're 25.
I feel old. When I first started this to now, I feel like it's been so long, but it really hasn't. So time's flying by.
You've got some awesome stuff. This episode probably won't air by the time, but I will be at Nora this weekend.
Going to try and go. I'm going to reach out and see if I know she's very busy. If I could probably come out and introduce myself and say hello.
I've never been to Water. Have you been to Water?
I used to work there, actually.
Shut up.
I used to do the CO2 cannon.
No way.
I worked there during COVID when the Lightning. When I was a part-timer with the Lightning, they couldn't have us working because of COVID. But Water was up and going, and I worked there for Greg Wolf with the Lightning, who does the announcing and everything in game and all that for Street Lace DJs. He said, "Hey, I'm looking for someone to do this," and I said, "Yeah, sure." And I only did it for about a weekend because the second I did it, the Lightning came back. Yeah. I felt bad, but I got to shoot the CO2, and I got to see some cool acts in there.
Yeah, I feel like Pied Piper, they brought in Above and Beyond for Halloween last year, and Simon Doty.
Yeah, love his stuff too.
Were you there?
I was not. So I actually, this sounds crazy, but so I've obviously been to my fair share of shows.
Yeah.
Every time I'm at a show, I respect the DJs and I love hearing the music. Obviously, I love hearing things, but every time I'm there, I'm just always like, I would love to be behind the scenes. I would love to be, on the stage, I think, as a lot of people think. And when I go to those things, I try to, if I have a contact, I try to see if I can get, maybe stand somewhere less crowded. Yeah. Just so I can kind of observe. And not that I don't like to party or trashing anyone who does it. I love having a good party and I love seeing people enjoying themselves, but I sweat a lot.
You just have a different, you have a different view of it.
Yeah.
Who do you think, I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day, who do you think has it worse, the men or the women at shows, like for attendees? So I'd like to say the women have it worse.
When you say have it worse, because I think there's a couple ways you could look at that.
I mean, I just feel like, as women, you got people that are kind of...
Yeah, I would definitely say, hands down, the women probably have it worse. I think the good thing with women, though, when they go to the shows is they're always with friends.
Yeah.
So they have someone to watch their back. And I like to think that these shows are doing a really good job at keeping it a safe space.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't had any bad experiences, knock on wood, here in the Tampa Bay, St. Pete area. I did Miami. I did Club Space once, and the viewers already know the story, and Club Space was tough, and I did that by myself.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that one I'm not sure.
I saw Monolink and Tin Liquor there. Yeah. And have you ever seen Monolink?
I've seen Tin Liquor, but I haven't seen Monolink.
I saw Tin Liquor twice at Club Space and at the Ritz last year.
Yeah.
And Monolink was really, really good. And I don't know if you follow the festival We Belong Here.
You might have shared something about them, and I think I followed them after
Okay.
that.
So I think we're going to see Monolink on their Miami lineup for February of 2025 because he did a lot of their summer stuff. So I'm excited to hopefully see Monolink again. What are some of your favorite venues that you go to?
So I've been to the Ritz obviously a couple times. It's
Yeah.
good to go there, and it's right down, not the road, but it's probably about 10 minutes or so for me. I have been, there's a couple, I really like the underground stuff there's been some warehouses in St. Pete.
Yeah, there's a ton of warehouses in St. Pete.
I've been to, if you've heard of For the Love of House, they're newer. They've been around for I think they've hit 2 years now.
Okay.
Jeff Schusler, Malia Baker, Preston. I cannot remember Preston's last name for the life of me. Preston, I'm so sorry. But all three fantastic people,
Yeah.
and they are really awesome. Preston's really good friends with Kibby, and the three of them started.
I've been asking Kibby to come on the show forever.
You'll get him eventually. He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
But they started For the Love of House, and they've invited me to all their shows, and I've gotten to do some underground stuff for them. And
that's something to check out, is For the Love of House.
Yeah, I would definitely look into their stuff. They were awesome. Malia and them showed up to my Tampa Theater set, supported it, and we obviously put them at the very end of the video. I love the end to those videos because we always do something fun. I think at the end of the video, I go backstage and I clap, and you see the black of my hands, and it cuts and it ends. Little things like that are just so fun.
Did you come up with that yourself, or?
Yeah, well, the first one at Amalie, I walked away from the camera, and then I had a mix where at the end I added like a do-doon, do-doon, do, and then it goes doon. And then when it hits the doon, it goes black. No one ever sees that. No one's watching that long. But at the Tampa Theater one, I accidentally walked in front of the camera when I left, and because I walked in front of it, it's just the black of my shirt, and it covered the camera.
Okay.
So they use that as the ending. So when you walk past it, it's just over.
Yeah.
And it's little things like that. I called my mom. I said, you have to just watch the last 30 seconds. It's the coolest thing.
I think you're onto something with the sets.
I like them.
I think you're onto something.
It's just if the right people can see them, I think that's all it takes. But I'm also doing it for me.
Yeah.
It's a chance to do it, have, support, and the team that comes with me. I love all of them. They're, I'd say, really good friends. Parker, fantastic guy. The next one we're doing, he actually moved to where we're doing it. And if you want to find out where it is, you could just look at his social media and you'll figure out pretty quick.
Okay.
But like that one, super excited. And the fourth one we'll be going to, if it will stay the same, he's the 2 locations we're deciding on. He has been to both of those multiple times. And I mean, the views are
amazing.
Yeah. I don't want to say COVID was a good thing for music, but for live sets, I think something was pulled out of the dirt in the ground there.
Who did the set on the balloons in Turkey? Ben Bomer.
Yeah.
That was an interesting set.
Yeah. So if you can, people obviously want to hear mixes, but there's so many people making mixes. You just have to get creative. I think the plan though for the JNSN selects moving forward, and this isn't a secret or anything, but the next ones will all be unreleased stuff. So we're aiming to do a little bit shorter, probably less than an hour, but all the music is going to be somewhat shorter yet extended versions of JNSN unreleased songs.
Okay.
So just to have people go, whoa, I don't want to put on a song and someone's like, oh, I know this song, I'm going to skip ahead. It's like, no, because I want you to see this drone dive bombing past my face. I'm trying to play and I hear zoo. Like I want people to enjoy that. I want them to feel like they're there in that setting.
And what emotions are you trying to convey with your sets?
If I had to pick one, I'd say Goosebumps is probably pretty cool.
Okay.
The feeling I had when I was playing it, and there was only like probably 12 people, we put them all up top. If you've been in the Tampa Theater, like high up in the rafters where no one could see them, because we wanted to keep that empty. But just kind of that empty goosebump feeling. It's just dark. If you're at a club and it's dark, it's emotional. Every song I make I'm trying to go off of emotion, how I'm feeling, and my mental health struggles in the past, and that we're all constantly, dealing with behind the scenes. And, I'd like to make my music kind of off of life experiences. So like if you listen to songs that I've had, some of the ones coming out, the lyrics are very...
Do you write the lyrics?
I don't, but some of them I do pretty much go, hey, this is what I really want to aim for. But the more in-depth I get with artists, I kind of hey, there's some coming out where I go, this is what I want to talk about. I'd like to kind of, talk about something that actually means something else and kind of get creative because people like that stuff.
Yeah.
You have people who just like the music and then people who dive into the lyrics.
I think I love how you keep coming back to mental health because
It's so important.
It's a topic I've wanted to address. I know we've had a lot of people shy away from this topic, and if you'd like to have this conversation, if not, we can edit this out.
No, let's do it. Yeah.
But I think mental health is so important, especially in the scene, because you can get, I mean, Christ, you can get caught up just partying all the time, or like, there are times I know I've been to a sold out show, but I have felt like the loneliest person.
Oh yeah.
At that club.
Yeah, I've played in shows that there's been 2 people in there, and I've felt so lonely. And then you try to realize those 2 people in there having a good time, and it kind of feels nice when those only 2 people in the building come up afterwards and they say, "Dude, I was Shazamming your stuff, I couldn't find it. I loved all of that.
Yeah.
Who are you?" And then you get to talk to them for a little bit and give them your attention. I think it's important to realize that everyone is going through stuff, and you can, but it's also nice to know there's people around you who probably are in the same boat.
Well, and you never know, like you really never know what's going on behind closed doors and what that person may be struggling with. And it took an experience where I had a friend that committed suicide.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. And he's actually the one that like kind of introduced me to the EDM scene, and it was very unfortunate when he took his own life. But like the day before he killed himself, I was at his house with him and his wife, and he looked good. He was joking a lot, and the next day he shot himself.
Yeah.
So I think and he was embarrassed by some of the issues that he struggled with, and it's like, I live 10 minutes down the road. All you had to do was, pick up the phone and call. And I think it's also good to take breaks.
1000%. I think creatively, I think you almost have to take more breaks than you do put into the time, because at least for me and other people with mental health, it's easy to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned earlier, people have jobs outside of this. Kibby's a prime example. He's working so hard on his music. He works on his music. Sid too. They both have
jobs.
Yeah. Sid works. Yeah. I have a buddy, Mark, who's moving here. He's a ER doctor. He will pull 3-day shifts, and then he'll come home and like work as hard as he can on music to try and figure it out. Him, Kibby, Sid, they all have intense jobs, and I tell them all the time, hey, if you guys ever need anything, you are so helpful to me. However I can return the favor, because you need more people like that.
And I think you have to look out for yourself too. And I know this summer, I took a break. We took a break from singing and writing, and I took a break from going to shows. Yeah. So I'm excited because Nora's kind of like starting the season out again. But I thought I was going to like die without, seeing my vocal coach for 3 months. And, we were working on this track with an artist, and he hadn't finished it yet. And it was really great to just kind of reset. And I was like, you know what? The track is going to be finished when it's finished. And that's maybe something, maybe you can help me with. I try not to, like, I'm learning. I provide the vocals, the lyrics, and then I send it back off to the artist. And then you have to do your own thing. Yeah. Right? Like, you have to put the vocalist in a really good light, and you have to make the song yours. So it was hard for me to loosen the reins and just be like, I'm going to wait and be patient. And
it is tough for sure. I have worked with vocalists before, and they've sent stuff, and I have to talk to them and go, hey, I really like this personally. I really want to sign with this label. They really want to take it, but here's what they're asking to be changed. If it's a vocal thing that I can't change and we have to go in and re-record something, then that's the case. I think one of the biggest things I will say, and not just for vocalists, but for artists in general, is you're going to get a lot of pushback on tracks. You're going to have a lot of people responding going, hey, this isn't for us. We're going to decline.
How do you deal with that?
Not well.
Because that's something I struggle with too, is I've had, someone say, you're just not the sound we're looking for.
Yeah. So I used to take that so not well. I wouldn't freak out or anything, but it would really just set me back. And I would, start. I got that email. I'm not going to say the label, but I got that same email probably last week.
Okay.
Yeah, and it kind of put me in a funk for the day. But you have to realize, especially the better labels, they have a specific sound. And if they don't have a specific sound, they might be looking for somebody who maybe is a bit more popular, which is fine. That's the market. That's also the label. You have to also understand there's so many labels out there.
I feel like, and I'm not taking a shot at anyone.
Yeah.
But it's like everybody has a label now.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that. And I mean, you're not wrong. It also I feel like it oversaturates a little bit, but I also feel like it's really great because if you're an artist looking for somewhere, the thing you don't want to do, don't not do your research, because I have found labels before and I've signed with them and no plays, and the plays that I have gotten have been, fake cities, where you can buy Spotify streams. Yeah. And those, I will reach out to the label. I'll say, hey, I know I signed the rights over the song pretty much, but you can have it. I just want it off my Spotify. I want it off all my my digital stores. Please get rid of it. And they'll say, yeah, sure, no problem. And it's a tough conversation you have to have sometimes, and it sucks. But at the end of the day, you also have to realize the one big thing, and it's a business. So they're trying to get their music out. They're trying to keep their label afloat. You're trying to get signed, and you gotta keep pushing away. And you also have to make that connection. You have to realize that at the end of the day, you don't know them, they don't know you. So you want to give them as much details as possible without sending them so many details that they're drowning in your email.
Yeah.
So it's a process, but I will never get over the, hey, this isn't quite right for us, or or if they send the email and say, hey, this isn't right for us, the synths kind of suck or something like that. I haven't gotten that one, but I've gotten, the percussion could use some work. And I try to take that with a grain of salt, because while that's their opinion of it, if you send it to another label and they like it, you could have something that label A says, hey, this isn't for us. I think it needs quite a lot of work. It's not the best song. And you have to remember, that's just one A&R. That's one person. That could be of somebody who loves tech house and they don't like the type of music you're sending.
You are such a wealth of knowledge right now. Like I'm learning so much from him.
That's also from me learning it the hard way. That's me.
The best way to learn.
Yeah, it's just hit in the face. Ouch. All right, got to get back up. But now we know it's a learning experience. That, and I also think on top of it too, you just got to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because while that's not the best thing they can say to you, it's a bit of knowledge, but it might not be true. They just might not like it, or maybe they're listening on their phone, or maybe, you have to realize they get so many people sending demos. Have a friend, this is my biggest tip, have a friend who loves music but knows nothing about production listen to it, and have a friend who is well-versed with music production listen to it and see what their answers are.
Is it usually similar?
So you want it to be, if the person who doesn't like, or the person who doesn't know music production, if they're noticing something, you probably need to hit the drawing board again. I think that's a really big one. And if the person who is into the production is noticing something that could possibly be tweaked, then you might be onto something. Okay. So I know it sounds crazy, but Sid's a prime example. I send him probably everything before it hits the street, and I say, hey, I'm sending this to labels. I have a reputation I'd like to uphold. What do you think? And he'll be honest. And then I have friends who don't, and I send them stuff, and they'll either go, oh my God, I love this. And I'll go, okay. And I'll just kind of, that's awesome. And then I'll see, I have the friend I was telling you I just hung out with before. Yeah. The one track that I'm working on right now, he loves. Sent it to a couple labels and some friends, and they said, hey, this doesn't work. It's a really good song, but this one spot just doesn't work. I just want to be honest. And I go, I wanted to hear that. That's what I needed to hear, because I was thinking the same thing. So you kind of have to find that balance. It's tricky. It's definitely tricky, but I mean, it's easy to figure out. You figure it out fast too, I find.
I feel like I'm just like learning. I truly did not know what I was expecting when I invited you on, but you have some really, really good experience.
I appreciate it.
Under your belt. And there's just, I'm still processing that Jodie Knight and you, like.
She's fantastic. She's so great. Yeah.
So I'm a big the viewers know this. I'm a big Anjuna and Teenage Girl, and she's on both labels.
She is going with Marsh, I believe. She'll be in Orlando soon. Actually.
Are you going? Do you have your ticket?
I reached out to her and told her that I would probably be making the drive just to watch and support.
Well,
so
I have my ticket. You should get your ticket.
we'll carpool. We'll figure it out.
We'll get a hotel.
Yeah, we'll do it. I think it'd be great. It's she's fantastic and probably the nicest person I've ever worked with.
She's like super big.
Yeah.
Like that's, oh man.
She's super big and she's always smiling and happy on her socials, and she's just always so positive. You know, when I send the same thing with Lauren, if you know Faber, who's done stuff with Maur, M-A-U-R.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. They do stuff on Slardo's label and all that. They're fantastic. They're one of those groups who has a sound that it's their sound.
Yeah.
And it fits in all their tracks. But when you hear it, you know it's them. And they do a song with her, and I'm working on some vocals with her. She's fantastic.
Yeah, she's really good.
It's the English vocalists. They're so nice. They are the best.
So my vocal coach has this whole like conspiracy thing. And she's like, if you're like not from America and if you have an accent, usually singers from another country have better vocals. Do you find that to be true?
Yeah, probably. The Jodie, Faber, besides just being just downright just sweet, nice individuals, their vocals are fantastic. Jodie's, this sounds so ridiculous, but the first time I heard her vocals, I was having a rough morning. I actually teared up. I was like, wow.
What song was it? What track was it?
It was the very first one in the Somebody track.
Okay.
It's if you haven't seen it, it's the very first track. You watch the drone hit the Tampa theater. The JNSN Selects is on the marquee, which was really sweet.
Yeah.
And then it hits the building, and then that's the first song. She goes, Somebody, and then it hits and it takes off. And it's probably one of my favorite tracks. So that track will never not be good. So
that's
yeah. And I plan on doing more stuff with her in the future. She's fantastic. And it's not it is Jodie Knight, but it's her alias All Night.
Okay.
So for more of, I think, the heavier side of things, so not as like Marsh and Juna, more of the melodic house, a little bit heavier type stuff, so like that track. Perfect vocals. So
I am super excited to like see what you've got cooking.
I'm excited, and the best thing too, I do want to point this out if I can promote myself just a little bit.
Of course.
Yeah, if anyone's looking for, I'm so big on the show part of things. If I do play, my social media should be example in and of itself. I have a great crew that comes with. They love to be a part of it. They love to film it. And whatever venue they go to, they also film around the venue. And any of that extra footage, I always send to the venue free of charge.
The skyline was that was really, really pretty.
Yeah, so in the first one for the Amalie Arena set, ESPN gave us all that drone footage. Probably shouldn't have said that, but
we can edit that out if we need to.
But they were super nice, and then I was like, I probably need a drone person, and met Parker, but yeah, anywhere we go and we do stuff, I try to be as helpful as I can with the venue, and I also don't do it for the money. I do want to point that out. It's not, like you guys aren't paying me for this. I'm not. If I go do a show, I just want to play music. There's no better feeling than, I'm totally fine with being depressed, working in my room for, hours on end at night on music, if it means for an hour I get to be up there and be happy and see people.
I have an idea. For a show right now. Cut off the press. You, Kibby, and Sid should have a show.
Working on it.
Okay.
Working on it. We're working on it.
That would be.
We are discussing some stuff on our end, and whether it happens now, whether it happens in a billion years, we have a place picked out, we have ideas picked out, and I've discussed it with some individuals, and we all kind of have to have some serious conversations, but we're talking about it. So
I'm excited. I that would be.
We talked about it like 2 weekends ago, actually. So
look at that.
We'll see. Sid, I'm going to try and convince. He's a busy guy, but I'm going to see if he can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle Kinch, if you know him, another
one. Yeah.
Love Kyle. Fantastic human being. Really awesome. I was actually nervous to meet him because
he's like the nicest guy.
I was a fan. I think that's why. I saw him play at the Ritz, and I walked up to him once. I was like, "Hey, dude, Kibby told me to come up and say hi. Huge fan. Love your stuff." And he high-fived me, and then I just kind of kept meeting him, and
Yeah,
great,
he's
great guy.
always
Yeah.
like, if Kyle, if you're listening, like you've always been super nice to me out in
Yeah.
public, and I think that goes a long way.
Yeah.
Um,
You need more of that. I feel like there's so many artists. I could have came up to him and he could have been like, "Thanks, man. See ya." And because he didn't, that just made me want to.
good.
Yeah, and it also made me want to go up and talk to him and do nice things for him and chat with him. And now when I see him at things, if I don't see him, he'll come up and talk to me, which is such a good feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, he's such a just good individual. And you know, I think if you surround yourself around the right people who are positive and supporting, and look at him. I mean, he's traveling the world. He's prime example.
Last year, I think he did a lot of. I think he was in like Ibiza last year.
Yeah, he's well. I mean, he does stuff with Realm, and I mean, fantastic. And he lets me ask questions. See, that's the best part. I say, hey, I just have some questions, and he does not care. He's a very, very nice guy.
So we're gonna list your socials, but tell the viewers where they can find you, and we'll list them below in the comments.
Yeah. So if you want to look at anything, it's JNSN Official on Instagram, and I have a little link tree right in my bio that takes you to pretty much all things. YouTube videos, and then Spotify. It's just JNSN. There's a big picture of my stupid face on it, and it looks light right now, but listen to Want Me with Hellslowed on that is on Armada and Flashover Records, which is a great track. And then You, which is on We Are Freaks in Germany with Eltern House, really great group. So a lot of cool stuff on the way. But
thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. So I think we're going to wrap this up. And I just, again, want to say thanks to the Collab Studio for having us, and Tyler for manning the cameras and producing this. And we will see you at our next episode or at Nora. Summer in the Streets. Stay tuned, guys.
Sweet.
Have a good one.
Thanks.